Hey, Brian.
How are you?
Good. Something's wrong with my.
Hey, Brian.
What's going on?
Hey, John.
Hello.
I know that Carrie is calling in.
Yeah, I think.
That telephone number there could be Carrie. Let me. I don't know how to unmute them to find out if they are.
Yeah, it is Carrie, but I'm trying to figure out how to
Okay.
how to keep her unmuted.
And I know that Jack's going to be delayed by a few minutes. You'll all bear with us. We'll just be a moment before we get started, everyone.
Carrie, I don't know if you're in the car or not, but yeah, okay. Try unmuting again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
But I
Am
don't
I
know. I don't know if you're gonna stay like this though. So we'll try.
Oh.
Okay.
Right. Sounds great. Sorry about the inconvenience here.
No, appreciate your being able to attend even with other things drawing you away. We appreciate it. So I know that Jack is going to be delayed a few minutes, but I think we could go ahead and start as long as everybody's okay with that. And then he'll join when he joins. Sound good?
Great.
Yep. Sounds good.
Perfect. So I'd like to call this
Let me
meeting to
start the
order.
recording.
Go ahead, yeah.
I swear they change Zoom every single time we have one.
I
They
agree with that.
totally
Am I
do.
still muted?
No, we hear you still.
Okay. I'll stop talking then.
No, talk as much as you want to. We're just
recording in progress.
Okay, now it's recording. And now we will call to order the Winchester Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, February 3rd. This is a regularly scheduled meeting being held over Zoom. In attendance, we have myself, Vice Chair John Cortizis, Nick Rosettos, Carrie Layton. We also have Town Planner Taylor Herman and Assistant Town Planner Ian Sexton. And I see WinCam is here, so this is being broadcast on WinCam. For tonight's materials agenda, we have 4 business items. We have a subdivision of Loring Court. This is an application to release the bond. We have a ZBA review for Z25-1-28, 28 Fletcher Street. This is the application for the ZBA for which we are advisory. We have a review of Z25-40B-1. This is for Washington and Swanton. We have seen this before, but we asked to be able to review it again, so we have our second opportunity. Tonight we'll have preliminary reorganization vote, and when we get there, we will talk about that some more. Then under other business, we'll actually have a brief discussion about short-term rentals under other business. We won't be able to vote or really talk about the details, but really talk about what direction we'd like to go. We'll have to talk about any details in a public hearing. We have 2 different sets of minutes to approve, and then we will talk about our next dates and adjournment. With that, Taylor, if you could just keep an eye for when Jack gets here, because he's gonna, I know he was gonna be delayed by a couple of minutes. So with that, I think we should, unless you think there's a reason to go out of order, Taylor, start with the subdivision of Loring Court, which would seem to make most sense. And I know you have a memo in the packet regarding that, but I've if we could pull to that memo. And I don't know if we have anybody here who's on behalf of this petition that you want to elevate to allow to speak, Taylor. But I'd love to let you kick it off and tell us what we're doing here tonight. And maybe we'll elevate somebody if we need to, and if we don't need to, we won't need to.
Yes, so we do have a Mr. Joe Tarby, and I believe Adam, the engineer, just joined as well. If they are needed for questions, we can elevate them. But I'll go through what is needed here from the board tonight. So the subdivision, the Loring Court subdivision, was previously approved by the planning board on November 2nd, 2020. It's a 3-lot subdivision on Loring Court. It also had frontage. It replaced a, I believe it was Bodacian rug that was on Lochwin, fronted Lochwin and Loring. There's now 3 residential lots there. Those 3 lots have all been completed. The COs for those lots have been released, and people live in all 3 buildings. The road has also been completed to all the standards of the regulations of governing subdivision. And you have a memo from the town engineer on page 25 of your packet, which also states that the subdivision has been completed. What is needed from the planning board is to release the performance or the bond, which essentially acts as a performance guarantee. The applicant gets their money back after completing the subdivision to the specs which were promised. And both the town engineer and I are recommending that. However, one thing does need to be completed, which is the execution and recording of a utility easement of parcel A. The board can still release the bond with the contingency that execution and recording of the utility easement be completed.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see we have Jack is here now. I'm just going to wait till he gets in here, and then I'll just quickly catch him up. Hello, Jack.
Oh, sorry about that.
Nope, quite all right. I appreciate you traveling the town to make it in for our meeting. We were just talking about the first order of business, which is the subdivision at Loring Court and release of the bond that's being held there. I don't know if you've reviewed the materials and if you need any, do you need any backup? We hadn't got to any discussion. I just wanted to make sure if you need any more history, Taylor, I could ask Taylor to give you back a little bit more history. And if you have enough, then we can just proceed with discussing it.
No, I remember this, and I also went through the materials this afternoon, so I no problem. Are we missing Carrie, or is it she just not?
Carrie's on the phone.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Yeah. So, so are there any questions for Taylor? Questions about this? Is there anything that people want to know more about before we consider a vote?
I'm not aware of anything in this situation that would prevent us, but that doesn't mean there isn't anything. So I guess I'm very reliant on Taylor's assessment, but it doesn't strike me as that it would be very complicated.
Thank you, Nick. John, Carrie, Jack?
No, I don't have any
No,
questions. It sounds.
Nor do I.
I think it was a long process. It was built during very trying times. I mean, it just went through this project got held up because all the financing got so weird, and there were construction starts and stops, and we had concerns from the neighbors. And I think it looks great. I drove by. I think they did a great job. All the concerns from the neighbors were around storage of vehicles. It's been cleaned up for quite a while. The sidewalk looks great. The road's greatly improved, and I'm happy to be signing off on it.
Thank you. I agree. I have no questions or particular concerns, especially with town engineer and town planner telling us that everything is in good shape. I did communicate with the select board chair, and they are planning to have this on their agenda for Friday morning to consider the execution of the utility easement. So with that, any vote we had would be contingent on that taking place, as was suggested by potential motion language by Taylor. So seeing no additional questions and no need to ask any questions of the petitioners, is somebody prepared to make a motion on this?
If no one else will, I will. I move to approve the release of the performance guarantee for the Loring Court subdivision contingent on the execution and recording of parcel A utility easement.
I will second that.
Thank you. As moved by Jack, seconded by Carrie. For the record, now that's been moved in second, I'm going to give you one last chance. Any questions? Nope. Roll call. Carrie, we'll start with you.
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. The vote is unanimous, 5-0, and we will need to, I believe, Taylor, sign something regarding this at some point once, and I don't know when that sits in the timeline of utility easement and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll have to. The town manager needs to sign something. As I'm hoping by the time we meet in person next Tuesday, we'll have the paperwork for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
It
And
would appear that we also need to do it in the presence of a notary public. Is that correct?
Um,
I see that the previous one was signed by.
it was. Yeah, I'll double check on that.
Okay.
we thankfully have them in town hall.
Right.
So we'll see if that is necessary. And if that's the case, we will either sign on Tuesday night next week if everything's all ready by then. And if it's not, then we will, or we need a notary, we'll have to come in on our own to do that. But we can all work that out when the time comes. So with that, I would move on to the next agenda item. If you could just scroll back up or down to the agenda, either way, to the next agenda item is a review of Z26-1, application for 28 Fletcher Street. And this is again a ZBA petition. Is there anybody a participant who is representing or an applicant on behalf of 28 Fletcher Street? And I guess that would be, if you'd raise your hand, we could then know that and give you an opportunity to be here. I don't see any. So what I'd like to start with is passing it over to Ian. And if you could tee us off on what we're looking at in this ZBA application and, petition, and we can then take it from there.
Sure. This is the application of Lauren Jidis and Charles Mulick for special permit approval under Winchester zoning bylaws section 9.4, 4.0, and 355. The petitioners propose raising an existing deck to build an addition as well as an open deck near the rear of a single-family home. Special permit approval is required for this addition that will have a side setback of 11.5 where 15 is required under section 4.0, as it applies to the premises known as 28 Fletcher Street.
Thank you. So maybe it would probably be the easiest thing to just start with looking at some of the plans and then go from there if anybody has something they want to take off. I know there was a packet. Oh, Harry, you must be getting out of the car. If you could scroll down to...
There it is.
Yeah, that's actually probably a really good picture to start with and then zoom in on. So what they're looking to do, my understanding, and people could correct me if I'm wrong, is to remove the deck that's on the rear of the house and replace roughly the same side setback, but a little bit deeper with an addition. And I'm pretty sure I have to double check it was a 1-story addition. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything they want. That's just sort of kicking it off. Anybody?
That appears to be very similar to one with which I am intimately familiar, where you're adding on to previously non-conforming extension on your house. And you can see that at the front of the deck, it's 12 feet 1 inch, and at the rear, it's 11.5 or 11 feet 5 inches. So it's the property line is not parallel to the house, which is unfortunate. But this is a very deep and narrow lot. If you know Fletcher Street, most of the lots are like this. And in as much as this is at the rear of the property and not in view of the street, I have zero objections to this.
Thank you, Jack. We have somewhere in the packet, I'm trying to find it. We had in the packet, or at least, or somewhere, actual images of what the code.
There's architecturals of the proposed addition.
Yeah, elevations. Yep.
I think they're helpful because I just, for some reason, can't find them right now, but right there. I think they're helpful to see what's being proposed. So go ahead. Sorry, John. That's also helpful there. So.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with the addition. It's there is a bump out on the house, the existing house, which is only 8 feet 6 inches to the property line. It is in the back. We haven't heard anything from neighbors, so looks like a nice little addition.
Yeah.
Nick, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't have anything to add, no. I think it's fine.
Carrie?
There we go. Sorry. I don't, there was one clarification I wanted to make from one of the pictures, but I don't have any concerns about it. It was like a minor, I couldn't tell if there was an angled part to it, and I couldn't tell if that was a staircase or if that was a bulkhead, and I can't remember what page it was on. So it wasn't concerning. It was just something I was trying to clarify in one of the pictures. But no, I don't have any concerns about it. It looks like a nice amount of space for the family, and it's just they're victims of funky lot lines.
I think I see that the angled piece that you're referring to. I think it's that we can see on the left elevation there, which I don't know. I don't know what it is.
There is actually both a staircase and a bulkhead.
Okay.
Okay, and that extends into the setback, or which piece of the, or is that just off to the side?
Yeah, neither of those extend into the setback.
Okay, gotcha. I just couldn't put that object in place on the project. So thank you for your help with that. No concerns.
Thank you, Carrie. And I just will echo what everybody else said. I agree. I think that this is really a very modest addition to a house that has a very narrow lot. I live in a narrow lot. This is even narrower. I know how hard it is to try to make modest additions when you're in such a narrow lot, and I think they've done a nice job threading the needle, especially with that bump out, as you said, Jack. I believe you won't see this from the street because it will be obstructed by the bump out. And even if you could see it, I think it's going to look great. So I have no problem with it whatsoever. And I think it's kind of what this, if you were to ask somebody about 355, this is kind of what 355 is for, to allow someone, section 3.5.5, to allow someone to do an extension like this, in my opinion. So.
Agreed.
So I would welcome a motion regarding Z26-1 if someone is prepared to make it. And we have suggested language if you want, but no requirement that anybody ever use suggested language.
I move
to
that,
recommend favorable. Yep, go for it.
Who spoke first?
Either one of you, really.
Go ahead.
I recommend favorable action on this motion, that it does not, it'll be an asset to the neighborhood and the house and have no negative effects.
Thank you. Is there a second on that? Carrie, it's your chance.
Second. I will second.
Thank you, Carrie. So that was moved by John, seconded by Carrie. I assume there's no more discussion after the moved and seconded. So a roll call, Jack?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well, so the is unanimous. Jack, thank you as always for putting down our thoughts into Word and sending that on over to the ZBA for their review.
I will send that to you as soon as the meeting's over.
I'll be going to bed as soon as the meeting's over, so I won't be seeing it until the morning.
Fine. I just wanted to get off my plate.
No, I understand that. So with that, we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Z25-40B. This is for Washington and Swanton. And for just for reference, we reviewed the Washington and Swanton 40B in our January meeting. And from that meeting, we released a memo to the ZBA. And that should be in the packet because I thought it would be helpful for us to see what we had made recommendations on last time before we review what changes have been made and which I think are somewhat substantial. The other thing I wanted to say before we do much more, they have completed their design review at the ZBA level. However, they will still continue to they have not completed their review of the whole project, and they will continue to take comments and recommendations regarding design. But that discussion, they sort of completed that portion of the discussion. So I asked specifically whether that meant we could still make recommendations, and we are free to do so. I just think we need to be prepared to understand that they've sort of completed their design review. So I just wanted to open that up with that.
Who said this? Who completed the design review?
The ZBA.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because I actually attended the design review committee meeting, and they apparently, and I'm unable to get the recommendations of the DRC because I can't open the link. But apparently, they made some recommendations that were I guess good ones. So I'm hoping, and none of those we don't see that in the packet. So. I'm hoping that report will get to the ZBA and get to us because and none of these pictures are new that we have here. So I'm reluctant to spend a whole lot of time on it.
New pictures in the packet that were from the January meeting.
Right, they're all from the January meeting. I don't see anything new here.
No, there is.
No, the redesign is in the January packet, Nick. It looks significantly different. It looks much better.
Slide 13, slide 12, 13.
In the wait a minute. So before we get there, I just want to point out what recommendations we made.
So wait, so what's in this packet? Is this not the reviewed ones that are in the current packet?
They included all of them to show us the progression.
Yeah.
Right, but will I see the most recent ones in the current packet?
Yes, you will.
It's dated January 14th.
Okay, because I mean I'm looking at the February 3rd packet that we have for this meeting.
Yeah, that's it.
And I don't see anything new from last time.
Page 14 in our packet.
Page 14 in what packet?
In our packet.
I'm on page 52 of the packet, and that's where the pictures are.
Some of the packet, depending on which version of the packet you're in, this is here. There they are. The revisions are there.
Okay, because these are all the old pictures, what you're showing us
No,
right now.
These,
No,
these
no.
are these are new from what we saw in our January meeting. These are revisions as of 1/14, and we met on 1/4 maybe.
Yeah.
No, we met after
Nick,
that.
for
We
you,
saw
I think it's around page 9. Nick, if you look at the top of page 9, I think you opened the materials that were linked from the email, and you're looking around page 9 for the one labeled 11426.
of just that section. Okay, well,
Yes, if you open the link from
recall
Taylor's
seeing
email
these.
labeled Washington Swan.
I recall seeing these and looking at the angled bays that we were discussing and the front, and the fact that they just have that little dinky roof that doesn't extend anywhere. And the design review committee had a lot of discussion on it and had ways to kind of correct some of those problems. So I'm hoping that we will see that.
Sorry, maybe it's page 10. Can someone tell me it's
Well, it's
page
Brian's
They
got it on
addressed
the
it.
screen, or
I think
Taylor's
There's
got it on the
nothing. There's
screen.
nothing on page 10 about this. That's the Lackawanna thing. I'm on
Well-
page 36.
Yeah, I think you're in a different version of packet, but we can.
Yeah, I don't know. What
Terry, you
packet you're
can't
in.
see it.
Are you looking at last
But we
one?
have it on the screen right now, which are the 114 revisions. And if we
Right. That, the on screen is page 52.
Yeah.
And that's not new. We've seen that.
No.
we've never seen this in our meetings. This is if you scroll back up, who's scrolling? I'm not sure if it's Ian or Taylor.
Mhm.
Scroll. That's what we saw. That was the version that we saw on. That was the 9/3 submission that we saw in our 1/4 meeting, which was the last time we looked at this, and we haven't looked at it since the 1/4 meeting. So that was, and if you scroll up even a little bit further from that, I think there are more exteriors. Yeah, a little further. Yeah, that was no.
This is all new. Yep.
That's what we saw
That's
at
the
the
old
1/4
one.
meeting. That's the old
All right.
version.
I'll have to look for it, but I
You
mean,
can
they
see the
didn't
date
correct
in the upper left.
Okay. Well, the bay windows, they didn't extend the lintels wider than they didn't do any of the things. And I think that the DRC's comments haven't been incorporated in what we're seeing here. Because I think they looked at this already. Maybe I saw this at the DRC. This was already done by the time they had their meeting. But the brick lintels and sills on the window, there are a few things. The lintels and the sills need to be wider than the windows. I mean, that's kind of, anyway. So maybe, yeah, I don't know what to say or do, and I'll have to think about it.
I would suggest that some kind of motion that we either look upon this favorably or unfavorably, but whatever we do, we do it pending incorporation of DRC's recommendations.
I think that would be fair.
So all I wanted to do, but we got a little past, is I wanted to point out the motions that but you don't need to move here. I can read them from a separate page. The motions we had made back in January. We made 2 motions. One is that we asked that said that we preferred the design elements that were from the original April 25th elevations as opposed to the revisions that we saw from September elevations. So that was one thing that we made a motion on. The other motion that we made was to urge them to encourage retail uses for the commercial space to better serve the needs of the building and tenants. And then lastly, while not a motion, we talked about how there was a strong desire to have benches and activate the sidewalk in front of the building because it's distance from town. So I just wanted to give those as sort of a background of sort of what we voted then, so that we can decide if we want to make a recommendation on this this new design, which is new for us, those who didn't attend the DRC meeting, and I did not attend the DRC meeting. So this is new to me. But I appreciate, Nick, that you were at that meeting. So this seems like it's old for you, but it's new for us.
Okay, that might have been it. But they did have some recommendations, and I heard they were very good. And just based also, like just making the roof line better and a number of things. I mean, I think that I agree with Jack. I think we should just I think we should stipulate our recommendation upon incorporation of the DRC's comments.
You want to make that motion?
Yeah. So what are we moving with regard to? Then this is a recommendation to the ZR the zoning board, basically, and
Yep.
we're recommending what, favorable action on the entire project.
So
Well, on the design, I believe that we're seeing right here, the January 14th design, pending incorporation of DRC recommendations, if I could phrase it that way. Maybe I'll just make the motion.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you do it? Because
I move that
I'm not
planning
even sure
board-
what I think on
I
this.
move that the planning board recommend favorable action on the design per the January 14th, 2026 design update, pending incorporation of design review committee recommendations, period.
thank you. Is there a second on that? We will have discussion. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I mean, we haven't had a lot. So just focusing strictly on the design, since that seems to be where we are. But do people have things they'd like to add? So we haven't moved and seconded. Moved by Jack, seconded by Carrie. People have questions, comments, things they'd like to say about the design.
I do have some comments.
Welcome. Put them forward.
Well, when I mentioned the brick lintels and sills on the windows that are set into the brick walls and that are set into the walls need to be wider than the windows. The window lintels and sills are supposed to be structural, or at least look that way. I'd like to see just a three window bay instead of these bays. I think these bays are used on 10 Converse because it's an alley and they have to be pointed out toward the end of the alley. But I think a 3-bay window would be better in this situation and would fit into the neighborhood more appropriately. Windows on the wood portions need to have casings. Let's see, I think they got rid of the batten, well, there's still some batten and board portions on the side. I think they should just get rid of that, to get rid of the kind of the farmhouse look. I don't think that's necessary. Just the clapboard is more in keeping with the surrounding neighborhood.
Were these the recommendations of the design review committee?
No.
Okay,
These were
okay.
not. No.
That's good. Let's make that distinction then.
Yeah, no, these were and I don't know what they are because I can't open it up. So we'll have to figure that out. I'll have to figure out how to get that stuff. I mean, they should be shared. I don't know if Taylor, you can get that for us, get their recommendations, but
I don't know that I've seen them, but I mean that we might have gotten an email. We get them emailed to us when those minutes are available.
I'm not sure I've seen them either. At least they haven't been sent to me.
okay. I was going to say, let's maybe let's use some color as opposed to gray, possibly greens, blues, blue greens, or even possibly reds. I mean, it's a little more kind of instead of the kind of the modern gray that is very ubiquitous. I guess that's all I can think of right now. I mean, I don't know whether they've. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment.
Okay, I'll capture that for a memo to the to the ZBA,
Thanks, Jack.
as well as our motion, which we haven't voted on yet.
We have not voted on yet. Do other people have comments or questions about, again, we're just looking at design.
Oh, the last thing is that the balconies are flimsy, so either redesign or forget them.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
Okay. So we got a motion that's been moved and seconded, and we can, if we agree, the motion can be as the motion, and then some of those things can be added into the text of the letter, where, you know, not necessarily part of the motion, as long as that's okay with everyone. If we'll let Jack review that when we get a chance to that. But John, Carrie, do you have any comments?
No, I don't.
I mean, it looks to me like the final version of the design incorporated some of the comments they had gotten from the peer review, and I think it's an improvement. I think they broke up the massing with the two tones, and I agree that the balconies could be better, but I think for the process they've gone through, I think they ended up at a decent result. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. And Jack, do you have anything you want to add?
I agree with what Carrie just said. I would also add that we did raise the issue of the commercial space that we prefer to see at retail. That was not addressed in anything that I saw. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it was a suggestion on our behalf.
So, well, I do want to add that, because I think it's important. Mostly want to just focus on design for a couple more seconds, because we also didn't talk about the benches and things like that we had talked about.
Right.
So I think we might need a second motion along here, and this is a motion just for design.
Fair enough. I'm sorry. You're right.
No, I didn't mean you needed to apologize. I mostly just meant that we would. I think that's a fair thing to discuss. I just don't want it to interfere with our conversation on the design. So I agree. I think it's an improvement over what we saw from the September elevations. I'm not sure. I mean, at this point, what's the point of comparing it to something that was almost a year ago? You know, whether it's better or worse than what we saw a year ago. It certainly looks better than what we saw in January, which was from September. So I'm pleased by that, and I won't say I truly understand everything that Nick said, but they certainly sounded well thought out, and
I didn't either.
I would
That
agree.
makes two of us.
Yeah, I would agree that they generally sound like, sound like you know what you're talking about, and and we know the DRC knows what they're talking about. So I think our motion is sound motion, but I think some of those details could be added in. Jack, what do you have for the details, and then we can vote on this motion, and then move on to the other things.
I'm going to rely on the recording, Brian. I'm going to do this tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
It was about lintels. Fair. I mean, my general impression, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, is that the framing of the windows needs to extend over beyond the frame of the window itself, and I believe you referred to that as the lintel.
Yeah,
that was the main point. I completely agree with that point. If you look at the lintel, look at the design details.
The lintel is the top of the window, and the sill is the bottom, and they need to go just a little bit wider, just so that they have the appearance of being structural, even if they aren't in modern times structural. Just to give it that authenticity.
I agree with you. The design details which are included in this package show the difference, and you can see you're exactly right. It just doesn't look right the way it is. It's further down, Brian.
Yeah. I don't have control. I think that I think Ian must have. I'm not sure who has control. Taylor, Ian.
Keep going. There it is. See those?
Yeah. See
how the lintel and the sill?
Yeah, I think it's just cosmetic. I think they can just make it come out a little. It's not going to cost them more. I don't think.
Extend to the sides.
Yeah. And the same with the brick. On both of those.
Yeah. That's essentially it, right, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got that.
We have a motion and a second, just regarding design. We're going to come back to.
There was a recommendation that the windows on the wood portion should have casings. In this case, they don't. I guess it's that was in my list, but so I'll just leave it at that.
And the balconies, you mentioned the balconies.
And the balconies, right?
Flimsy.
Right. Right. So either just get rid of them. I mean, they don't mean anything, or maybe redesign somehow. I thought the bay should be 3-sided bays, but again, I guess I'll just leave that as a recommendation, and we'll see.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So we have a motion that's been moved and seconded regarding design. If there's nothing further, I will call a vote on that first motion. Carrie?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. So that's unanimous, that recommendation. The next issue that we had in our recommendation last time was to encourage commercial use for the ground floor commercial space. It had been said in a meeting back in December. I don't know if anything has changed since then. We certainly have nothing in the package to suggest as much, that any commercial space there would likely be non-retail commercial space. We were recommending that at least some of it be commercial to activate the street, to
Retail.
Retail, yes, for residents as well. Appreciating that retail might not be as lucrative, but it is helpful for the street and the development. Something that was suggested to me by a member of the select board was that we actually make some recommendations of the types of retail that we think would be useful there. Because at the end of the day, the select board does have say over what happens here still for a time being, because it's still owned by the town, and they keep on redoing the LDA, although they might be finally done. So it would be helpful to talk about, at least in my mind, both make a recommendation that some of that commercial space be retail, but also talk about the types of retail that might be helpful. But I opened that up because that was what was suggested to me. But
no, I just want to express my agreement with Brian. I think that that was a nice little mall there when it was functioning a while ago, and it did activate the street. And I think that not only should we ask for retail, but I agree that we should ask for the types of retail that we'd like to see. And the reason I say that is that if we don't ask, we have zero chance of getting it. It doesn't mean we're going to get it.
Right.
But I think we should ask. I think we should ask. So I am in support of requesting types of retail, even though we might get pushback. I mean, it would be nice to see a convenience store.
Yep. That'd be my first choice, convenience store.
I mean, maybe we're not lucky enough to get a bakery, because you have to have talented people that work there. But I would like to see a bakery, a coffee
Maybe
shop.
you could get Mamadou to move his place. It's just right up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something artisan pizza. I know that Kerry wants a taco place.
It's really the will of the town. I am just the voice piece.
Yeah,
She's just a customer.
right.
I'm just hungry, Nick.
The old mall had like a 24-hour convenience store. It had a laundromat, which
had a bank.
It had a bank. Yep.
Photoshop.
Yeah, I guess it did, because that thing is still up there. But
He moved to Woburn. He's still in business.
oh, okay.
Does the Photoshop still open?
That's what I understand. He's in Woburn.
Wow, that's great. I just didn't know they still existed anywhere.
Well, he does conversions, from like videotape and whatnot to digital.
Yeah,
That's how it's staying in business.
We already have a let's see, we already have a Thai restaurant. We have a Chinese restaurant. We could use an Indian restaurant. That's good.
That might be more specific than
Right.
I'm not against saying I think we could use an Indian restaurant for sure.
I mean, I'm not sure if
That's
I'm
little
not sure
specific.
if we can. I mean, yeah.
Ethnic
Bengali.
restaurant.
Right.
So I think some of the uses that we had there are the kind of uses I actually think a bank would be useful there too, even though it might not activate in the same way. People do come in and go to the bank.
Yep.
People who live there come and
So
go.
there are those. Is it Capital One that has the cafe space, which functions as a bank and also as a cafe and has sort of the pockets to do it?
Yeah. Do they still have that, Kerry?
I think there's some in downtown Boston. I don't know if they're going into the burbs or not,
I remember because well, Capital One bought ING Direct, and ING was the one that had the coffee shops. I haven't seen them in a while, but I do remember them.
I mean, we can't get anywhere near the specific. We can't like taste the latte before we approve the permit.
Right.
I mean, we're approving the menus, right?
Specific uses we want to.
Yeah, we have to approve the quality of the pizza.
So one of the things,
We want
an
to
exercise
wine list before we'll approve it.
Right.
An exercise that would be helpful that the select board thinks we have, and I'm not aware that we do have, is basically a list of the types of commercial spaces that activate a street. It was said at a meeting of theirs that, the planning board has such a list. We may well have such.
So we have a use we have a use table for light industrial.
Yes.
And we have a residential use table.
Yes, but a use table is different from a wish table.
Yeah.
Things we wish would be.
Yeah, we could do a streetscape enlivening table.
I feel like that's something that could be useful to have, not posted for tonight's discussion, but certainly for tonight's discussion, I feel like some of the things that we've talked about are, maybe not quite as specific as a Bengali restaurant, but some of the things we've discussed are the kind of things that we're thinking about going there. Coffee shops, probably not a dry cleaner going in there, but some of these uses are similar to the kind of uses that people who live there would come and want to go and use, as opposed to a law office. And we love lawyers, if any of you are lawyers out there, but that's not the kind of place that you necessarily come and go because you're in the neighborhood. It's a very different kind of experience. So I'd like to.
I think that's a great idea. The Conservation Commission pulled together a list of native plants to suggest to people. So I love the idea of us having a list of businesses that activate a streetscape. I think that's a great idea.
Sounds like a good job for Ian and Taylor.
Oh,
yeah, good start there. We can get.
I think we should.
We don't have a faux place yet. We need faux or faux, however you say it. And French. I think we need French. I don't know if we can. I don't know if we would support French, but maybe we can give it a try.
I'd like a craft donut shop while we're at it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, if Arlington can have these things, I don't see why we can't.
We should.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love a motion to basically reiterate that we would like to have some amount of street activating retail, and some of the suggestions.
Can we? Oh, sorry.
And some of the suggestions that we made could be included in there.
Yep.
Honestly, in the time.
Can we charge Taylor and Ian to put together an initial list, or is that?
Well, I think we've captured it. I think I can capture it in the motion, and I'll share it with everyone tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, I think that as an exercise, at some point, once we're eventually finished with 10 Converse, I feel like this would actually be a useful thing to have, so that when we're looking at locations like this, we're going to have more locations like this, and somebody's going to say, what would be good to activate the street, and what's just a commercial use that's also valuable, but not for like what's a prime location.
Right. And I think that if we do ask, we may not get it, but if we don't ask, we'll definitely not get it. You know, and we are the town, we are the planning authority. We should have some say in what kind of businesses, are going to activate the street and be going to have value above and beyond just their profit and loss to the community.
I totally agree, especially in this case when we own the building, we own the land right now. We don't always have we're not always in as much of the driver's seat as the town. The town is not always in the driver's seat as much as it is on this development right here.
Right.
And I also 100% agree. If we don't ask, in fact, I'd like to think that our request that they have some retail space in our last letter is actually being heard, and that's why there's more discussion about it, and not just yeah, great, move on. So
Well, then I think the motion is in order that the planning board would reiterate its motion from the previous meeting. I'll get the date right, as to a strong desire for retail uses in the commercial space, such as convenience store, bakery, ethnic restaurant, coffee shop, etc.
Yeah.
I would the only thing I would politely ask is just to remove the word ethnic.
Okay.
Restaurant.
What would you put in just restaurant?
Restaurant.
Okay.
If somebody wants to put in an Americana restaurant, that'd be lovely.
Sure.
And I don't know.
That's my motion. Is that acceptable?
I like it if someone will second it.
Second.
Carrie, are you muted? You just came into the meeting. Are you permanently muted? Raise your hand if you're permanently muted, and we can try to unmute you. Oh, yeah.
Taylor just fixed it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I'm here.
There she is.
Welcome. So we have a motion and a second on that. I think we've discussed it kind of to death. Carrie?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion is unanimous for that recommendation. The last recommendation that we didn't vote last time, but I think is somewhat important for us to discuss, was Carrie's conversation about, and I agree, I think I brought it up too, having benches or something in front of this location, especially because of the location. It's a place where people would stop there on the way into town. If we don't ask, they're not going to do it, as Nick said. So I don't know where they stand as far as doing that. All I know is that in December, there was talk about having benches, and then they would talk about, well, they would get in the way, they would block storefronts, so we should get rid of them. So I can't say I know where it stands right now, but we can continue to make a recommendation, and hopefully they will consider it. But if anybody wants to discuss or make a motion, I would welcome it.
I think did we already vote to it?
No, there was no vote on that one.
Oh, okay.
It's just a discussion point.
Yeah, I think but if somebody would make a motion to consider benches and rest spots along the front of the building at some point because of its location. I mean, basically what we said last time, only we didn't have a motion behind it.
Yeah, I moved to recommend creation of seating in front of the Washington Swanton development to encourage, I don't know, sitting.
Well, the phrasing you had was
It's been a long day.
place of respite. I think was the word you.
Yes.
Yes, I'll pick up the language from the previous, but strictly on the
How
Washington
about to
Street
encourage
side?
community engagement again?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's basically
Especially,
what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of that.
I don't know if we're still all like doing a joint motion. I don't know where we are, but if we're to the discussion point,
No, we're trying to get a motion here.
We don't actually have, I think there might have been a motion made. I'm not sure if there was ever seconded. So, and I'm not sure what the motion was. How's
Was-
that?
Move to recommend seating was it on the Washington Street side only?
wherever's convenient outside the building. I mean, just accessible to the public.
Okay.
Can I make a friendly, amendment to say that, again, to activate the streetscape? I think that's important because that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Yep, good point.
Yeah, activate the streets. The street. Yes, I like that. What he said.
Thank you.
So moved.
I'll second that.
So any further discussion? Jack,
Aye.
Carrie,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
chair votes aye, the vote is unanimous. I don't know, unless anybody else has any other aspects of this project, whether we need to make any additional recommendations on this. I don't know that anybody else, if you have some, speak up. If you want to make an overall recommendation on the project, but I feel like each of these individuals might stand alone as they are, but I would open that if people wanted to.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Everyone, so with that, I think we are done. And my suspicion is we will not see this again. I think this will be approved. I mean, it's certainly going to be approved. It'll be approved before we probably have a regular meeting. Taylor, do you know the timeline by any chance for when this is going to have a final vote? And maybe you don't know. I just figure I'll throw that out to you.
It keeps getting extended. I don't know the exact date.
Okay, fair. So I think we're done with that. So with that, we'll move on to the preliminary reorganization vote. This is something we talked about at our January meeting. We are free to make changes to what we've discussed then. But what we said at our January meeting is that we would, at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is tonight, we would vote for the election of a chairperson-elect. That would be the person who would become chair at the first meeting in April, or first meeting after the election, but that would be in April. We also discussed that moving forward, we would not have a vice chairperson position. At least that's what we discussed. We talked about how the chairperson and the clerk would not be voted on until April, would serve until the following January, the first meeting in January, which is when we would then vote for a new chair and a new clerk at the next meeting in January. That is what we set up. Before we do anything, I just want to make sure that's what people think, still agree with, because that's what we agreed to at our last meeting. But I'm a
little confused on that, because I thought the discussion was the whole point of this chair-elect was to get the person to have some exposure as a sort of looking over the chair's shoulder, as it were, to learn how the job is done so that they don't hit the ground cold in April. And that chair would similarly be, that the new chair-elect would similarly be elected the following January or February for a similar setup, so that they would take office on April 1st. So this December 31st kind of threw me. I didn't understand that when I saw it.
So I have no strong desire either way. I thought we were trying to move to a January to, and maybe I misunderstood.
Calendar year, you mean?
A January vote, so that the chair basically is chair through budget season, through
I see.
town meeting. But it could work equally well. We spend a long time discussing this, and sometimes where I think we landed is not where anybody else thinks we landed. So that's why I think it's important to just decide where we landed for the sake of the record.
I see.
So
There's merit in both, in my opinion. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it does make sense for the calendar year, and that the new chair would have, 4 full months before town meeting. That would be an advantage.
I also think the work sort of changes year over year, and so the exact, you could put the end of the calendar year, but there will be some times when the lift of fall town meeting is so great the chair's ready to dip. There will be some times when the work is hanging on and needs to be wrapped up, and the overlap might make sense a little later. So I think if we just put the calendar year and do it when it makes sense, I think this is sort of like the senior year of the chair position. So it's a slow taper to adulthood at the time of the Springtown meeting, but it could start in November. It could start mid-January.
Yeah.
You never know when things are going to start getting crazy. And depending on what we're bringing to spring or fall town meeting,
right.
The runway can be years, not just 4 months, which is what we're talking about starting in January.
Well, 4 months is better than 1 month.
It is, as Kerry will attest, and I will attest, and
yeah,
the future new chair will attest as well.
Okay.
Well,
then I say the calendar year is fine, so that we elect a new chair at our first meeting in January, and that chair takes office immediately.
Takes office immediately in January.
And this is a transitional period where the chair takes office on April 1st.
They'll take office but they'll have a runway by being voted now, as opposed to waiting to April 1st and then having to pick everything up at that point in time.
I agree.
And having the opportunity to shadow you, Brian, and to and interact with Taylor.
Right.
But does that mean that people who might be up for election,
yeah, it probably behooves people that are up for election to defer until it's the middle of their term to put their names up for stuff, possibly.
That said, courts have this happen all the time, where the chair is voted out of office or doesn't run for re-election, and when that happens, you have new elections. There's no way we can come up with a way unless we write a really long policy, and I'm not sure any of us really wants a complicated policy.
I don't think we write a policy. I think we just kind of agree amongst ourselves informally. That kind of makes sense. And so for that reason, I'm not going to put myself up for anything until I'm in the middle of my term, if I am, because I am up for election.
Okay.
So one question. So the reason that we eliminate vice chair is to avoid quorum problems, but since the chair will be free to step back at whatever deadline it is, and the chair-elect will have sort of an overlap, will there be an election of a vice chair? The clerk should turn over at the election, could turn over at the election. That's a fairly straightforward position, but does a vice chair from the town election to the first of the year make sense?
So I'll defer to others. I'm not sure. Well, first of all,
we're eliminating vice chair, just going away.
There's no statutory role of vice chair in either state law or in our town bylaws.
I'm for fewer. I feel like that's good. I think that's I now that I'm remembering, I'm probably the one that suggested that, and I think
I was just gonna say unless the chair would like the help, but
yeah, I think.
But probably it's better to simplify it, I guess.
Yeah, chair, temporarily chair-elect, and
clerk
makes sense.
And starting next year, there would not be a chair-elect. There would just be a new chair.
Correct. That's correct.
If that chair needed extra help, they would call on one of the other 4 members and say, I need you to step up because this is too much work for me to do. And Nick will say, yes, I'll come and help you with writing this bylaw change or something.
Yeah, I think it's good. 3/5 of the committee with a title is kind of weird.
I mean, everybody deserves a trophy, I believe. But so with that, what has been our practice is, at least last year, so that's practically practice, is to turn over the meeting to Taylor during the selection of nominations and the voting for the chairperson-elect, so that the current chair has no undue influence over that process. And also, in the crazy situation where the current chair would like to also be the chairperson-elect, which is not this year, they aren't stuck holding a vote for themselves. So
And clarify Taylor's role here. Is Taylor also taking nominations for clerk, or will he just be overseeing chair-elect election?
Just overseeing chair-elect. We will not vote a clerk. I don't believe. I think we should stick with our clerk. I think Jack's doing a great job until April. The reason for that being that, perhaps Carrie and Nick are both reelected. Perhaps one is, and one of you will be. It's possible that we might have a new member. I think we can't have two members, my understanding. But clerk has been a good position for new members. It was what I did when I joined, and it got me up to speed. It's what Jack did when he joined and got him up to speed. Mm-hmm. So I think there's value in that being potentially a new member.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense.
But obviously, coming next year, we would vote a new clerk in January. So that would not necessarily be a new member from that year. But that's now. So we're talking about 4 months. We're talking about a month and a half until April. So, and that's my opinion. I'm not trying to steamroll.
That's good. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. I'm just making sure when you hand the reins over, Taylor knows what his full scope of elections.
He's going to actually have a coup and take over.
I love it. He's actually ousting all 5 of us. He's had it.
So with that, Taylor, I would turn over reins to the meeting to you.
So we'll just do it I'll try to make it as simple as possible, and we'll take nominations for who you believe the chair of the planning board should be, and you may nominate yourself.
I think that Jack would be a great chair. I think he's done a great job at the historical commission, ran really great meetings, and I think he'd do a fantastic job on the planning board.
I second that nomination.
Thank you for your kind words, Nick.
I third that nomination.
Pressure's on.
I think, do we need to have a vote?
I think we're voting by nomination process.
Yeah.
Yes, you do need to have a vote. So
Okay.
Jack Menege has been nominated by everyone to be the chair elect. We will have a roll call. Brian.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Carrie.
Aye.
And congratulations, Jack. You are now chair elect.
No, you should vote for yourself. Vote of confidence for yourself.
Vote.
All right, fine, I will. Thank you for your vote of confidence.
I did check. We don't need to do any formalities until April. So,
right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian's going to fall right off his chair in relief.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Not till April.
Taylor, may I take control of the meeting back from you?
You may.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, Jack, for stepping up. And we'll try to work as closely as possible between now and then, so that your transition on the first meeting of April is as smooth as possible.
Yep, you and I will be in touch.
Perfect. The other thing I want to state while we are talking about reorganization is that John's position on the WCCP needs to be re-upped because of the timing of that. John is willing to and agreed to stay on the WCCP to continue his term on there. I couldn't remember, in the past we've had sort of a slate of all the positions, but I was reached out by a town hall that we needed to approve him there, whether it's just me appointing him or us appointing him. I just want to make sure there's consensus that we're happy to have John continue on as our WCCP representative.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah,
I will let town hall know that that is true, so that he can continue doing the good work and bringing money back to the planning board from the WCCP. That's the hope. So with that, we will move on to, in our agenda, it would be other business. And we have updates from the committee. And the first update, which we didn't have time to post, however, I think is important to have a preliminary discussion. And this was some work that Kerry did about short-term rentals, giving us a sort of a preview. I want to be careful here. We can't discuss whether we think we should be changing how we should change short-term rentals. Yes, no, what? But Kerry has some slides. I don't know if she wants to present them here, but we do want to decide whether we want to address the issue. And that's something we can discuss outside of a public hearing. What we can't do is deliberate on the merits of different sides of the issue on short-term rentals.
Yes, this is a very dry, why would we do this? So I'm not inviting discussion. We'll just mute Jack because he's been very helpful. I'm just kidding.
All right.
Helpful and interested in it. It's easy to get into a discussion about it, but we will just give kind of setting the table. So the slides are generally just sort of why are we looking at it and what's the scope of the issue. So in the course of the State of the Town process, it came to the attention of the leaders of State of the Town that there is an overlooked revenue stream that is coming to the state through our short-term rentals, that are available in the town of Winchester. And we are not collecting a tax as the town of Winchester because we technically don't regulate them or allow them. We didn't know they were necessarily happening. And so since we don't have a bylaw, so before they start collecting a tax on a use that is, I think, growing in the residential marketplace, it's worth considering whether or not it's time for us to update the bylaw. It's something that we considered when we put the accessory dwelling unit bylaw in place. We prohibited the use of short-term rentals in as a use for ADUs, but while the town sort of generally understands that we don't encourage them or allow them, I don't think it's in our bylaw. So in terms of sort of scope of the issue, there is, so it can't, you can look at sort of like, I think that, I don't know how they got to the revenue stream, but there's a public registry of lodging operators. So anyone who's running a short-term rental or an Airbnb or VRBO are probably the two most popular platforms. You have to register the operation with the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, with the tax department in the state that you're housing the short-term rental. That's a rule that you have to follow to be listed on Airbnb or VRBO. And so if they're here, they're listed on this site. I put the link in the slideshow, so if you want to look at it yourself, you can. Because of the need to register with the state has a definition. So Mass General Law defines short-term rentals. I included that definition, and I included the properties that are listed in that registry in your slides. And I'm too tired at this hour to read my own stuff. But there's essentially 32 different properties, and they each have an ID number, and then there are property types. So you might notice that within Winchester, we have one registered motel, a lodging house, and 3 bed and breakfasts. So
Where's
the rest of them
where's
are
the bed and
short-term
breakfast on
rentals.
Glengarry Road?
They don't give you the exact street number. They just give you the street that it's on.
Well, that's my neighborhood. So I'm just wondering, where can I go and get, where can my wife and I go and, get a breakfast and have
Night away.
So these have been registered. I don't know if they're active. So you'll see I included definitions not just for short-term rental, but for each of the types that we have listed in town. So it's probably worth looking at What we have for regulation around this and just considering it. There are very few listed. I don't think when I did a search of specifically Airbnb and VRBO, I found definitely fewer than 32. I really found the ones that are listed here. And I separated them by how we're using them in case we do decide to move forward so that we have a sense of, one was a full size house. One is, 3 of them were just rooms in a home. And then 2 of them were complete apartment or condo. So if we want to think about which uses we would regulate, which zones we might include them in, those sorts of things. In terms of sort of getting your head around the tax revenue piece, I included the cost that's listed on Airbnb and VRBO and the minimum duration for those rentals. So without knowing how many nights of the year they're rented out, we can't guess what the tax revenue would be. I don't think it's very high. The select board was certainly happy to defer collection of it until we have time to take action on any bylaw changes if we want to. It's not a significant revenue stream, but it is one that we're not capturing. In terms of what the tax revenue would be, if you want to kind of go down the sort of the fiscal piece of it, the short-term rental tax is added on. So there's a state room occupancy excise tax that has its own rate, and then you can also do a local room occupancy rate, which can be up to 6%, 6.5% is allowed in Boston. So this is a tax to the sort of the owner of the of the short-term rental that then comes back to the town if we fill out. I don't think it takes much to get the revenue coming back to Winchester. I listed what the exclusions are, sort of like which, this was just in case you had lots of questions about what the actual tax is. It's not our purview, so I'm going to kind of skip over that.
You scroll down a little bit further, whoever's running, because you've got slides on all this stuff.
Yeah. So those are the ones that are listed as short-term rentals. The next slide, the short-term rental tax, that's how it's calculated. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole, you're welcome to. But again, I don't think the revenue is that significant. And then the tax rates in neighboring and peer communities lets us know sort of what's happening in the suburbs. So you can see the dates that each of these communities created their current room tax. So some, like Belmont just did theirs, they're considered our closest peer community for the state of the town process. So they're the only ones that I think kind of like recently got on board, but they are apparently allowing and regulating. I think Ian was going to do a little work on this, like how they're regulating them, but they are capturing the tax, which means they have rules around it. You can add a short-term rental community impact fee. So if the short-term rental is going to create a significant drain on the town's resources or natural resources, you can add an additional fee. And I've listed the communities that I could find that had those. And then when they activated that short-term rental impact fee, and then whether or not your community allows them to be managed professionally, which is I mean as a user of VRBO and Airbnb, I feel like that's become a much more popular option, and it's something that we would want to consider if we do choose to regulate them. And then the short-term rental, whether or not it's included inside a 2 to 3 family home. So are we allowing apartments and condos to be used as short-term rentals? This is what we have. Our next slide is what we have for our regulations. The only place I could find anything about it is in our definition of dwelling unit. So this would probably be where we would change our definition, and we would have to think this all through. So I'm just sort of like giving a sense of scope. We would probably, I'm assuming, do a very simple bylaw change, and then if we chose to not allow the use, I think we would just change the dwelling unit and establish how long rentals are allowed. Right now, we technically allow them on a weekly basis, but not shorter. And the accessory dwelling unit specifically prohibits them for a period shorter than 31 days. So we would want to resolve that discrepancy. If we chose to regulate them, we could probably do rules and regulations outside the bylaw that help with who and how and all of those things. And then the last slide is just a couple of things to consider. So this is not a huge revenue stream. It's not like this is how we're going to fund all the schooling issues. It's not a pivotal number, but we want to decide if it's a net benefit to the town from a use perspective, right? We're not the revenue body, we're the use body. And so we want to think through, is this a use that we know is growing in the real estate world, that we should make sure has a pathway to I don't know, like manifestation for homeowners, or is this something that we think is not beneficial to the town that we want to regulate? Or we could just look away and pretend this slideshow never happened. If we do choose to regulate it, I put a couple of considerations because, of course, the run up to Springtown meeting is getting a little tight. So things we would want to think about if we move to public hearing would be things like, which types of zoning, would we want to use the zoning to guide where we allow them or how we allow them or which property types are allowed to use them? Do we want to make sure that it's an owner occupied unit, or could investment properties be used for short-term rentals? And then who would grant the permit for them? So those are some things. Ian has some expertise in the execution of them. So if we got down to rules and regs and how to sort of think about issues that can come up with them, he has a good amount of experience in a high density, an area of high density short-term rental usage. So he could be a really great guide for us there. And I think all we really need to decide here is, do we move this topic to public hearing so that we can tackle it as a board?
Thank you, Carrie. That was a great summary, and I appreciate you putting together the slides and doing the work. Really appreciate it. So yeah, that is the question. Is this something that we want to tackle, and on what time frame do we want to tackle it? You talked about the short runway to Springtown meeting. My question for you would be, is there a necessity that this get done at Springtown meeting? If we're going to do anything, is there an advantage of spring over fall, or can it be something we say, yes, we want to do, but fall town meeting is when we're going to tackle it?
So per the state of the town discussion, they would like to bring to Springtown meeting enacting the tax in Winchester. And they are willing to wait until fall as a courtesy if we want to make a bylaw. If we want to bring a bylaw change to spring, they're willing to wait until fall. So if it failed in spring, we would have fall and kind of as a parallel with them. Or so I think there's motivation to work on it for spring. I think once you're taxing a use, it's tricky to go back and regulate it. So I think sort of, being proactive about it makes sense. I don't.
Wait, who's the body that is giving us permission, or as you said, are allowing us or want us to go spring versus fall, et cetera? Who is that?
The select board. So the select board would choose to collect, would sort of take action to collect the tax. So we're responding to the fact that the select board is taking action on a use that we don't. So this is just sort of us. This is me not feeling right about sort of like backdoor approving something that we haven't contemplated.
Oh, I see.
So what I'm hearing is that there is some desire for us to, if we're going to do anything, try to do it by Springtown meeting. And I don't know if that's reasonable. I don't know if it's reasonable. I'm not saying it's not reasonable, because we certainly have to do a dog and pony show. We have to go into public hearing, but then I could also imagine that this could impact various groups in town that would want to be part of that. I'm uncertain if there is any impact on the school department. If somebody rents an Airbnb I'm not debating this, and rents an Airbnb for 28 days, can they enroll their kid in school for those 20? I'm just saying that we would want to make sure that all of those different groups were able to weigh in on this. So if it's a desire to do it by Springtown meeting, we just want to be on the ball. And it's not, you already have done like 3/4 of the work. It's just now deciding what we want to do, doing it in public hearing, and then doing the dog and pony show.
I have a question. If I'm understanding this right, in order for us to discuss the merits or demerits of moving forward, we need to be in a public hearing. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
That's
We should probably stop this now.
No. Well, we want to decide if we want to have that discussion.
That's what I'm saying. I think that we probably should. I think we should have a public hearing and decide whether we move forward. And if we decided to move forward, then we continue the public hearing to a point where we are at the next session, we are discussing language and exactly what it is. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think that the purpose of tonight was to decide whether we wanted to move forward with a public hearing to potentially change the bylaw, not how we would change the bylaw, whether it would be more restrictive or less restrictive, or whatever, just whether we want to. So whether we want to have move forward. So I hear from you, Jack, you would like to.
No, what I'm saying, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that to discuss whether or not we want to do this requires a public hearing, because we're going to, in that discussion, we're necessarily going to say, I don't think we should do it because X, and somebody else say, I think we should because of Y. Well, those are public concerns that ought to be aired in a public hearing. Am I understanding that correctly?
I think that that conversation is fine for this meeting.
Okay, fine. Well, I can see merits of on both sides of the coin. I think that we can look the other way and pretend this isn't happening and not collect the revenue. And we can make a bylaw that outlaws Airbnbs.
So just to be super clear, we have nothing to do with the revenue. The revenue will get collected.
Right.
Because that's the select board. We are deciding whether or not we want, so if they say, absolutely open it up, let's collect the tax, that it's kind of like a codification, like, okay, they're happening and we're making money from them. And so it's really hard to go backwards and say, actually, no.
I got you. But in order for them to collect the bylaw, collect the law, I'm all right, the tax, we need something codified in the bylaw that, no, we don't.
Oh, nope,
So
because they're registered with the state.
I got you.
That's what I'm saying. The fiscal body and the planning board are different on this.
I got you.
I want them, I would like, if we're making money off something and this becomes a problem where we're like, oh, we're really inflating property values because now whatever, it's harder to go back and say,
I see.
we should have taken action.
Right.
I get you now. I misunderstood. Okay. So it's going to happen one way or the other. We just need to decide if we're going to get ahead of it. That's all.
It's a gap that's about to become really clear. So
it's not going to happen one way or another. If we were to make a recommendation, I'm not saying we should, to not allow short-term rentals, and town meeting were to approve that, they would no longer be allowed. How you would collect and whatnot. I'm just saying that it would become more complicated if they've already, I think is what Carrie's saying, is if they've already started collecting taxes on these, and then suddenly town meeting votes change the bylaw to outlaw them.
Yeah, I get you.
Other people have opinions. Do the people think that this is worthy of having a public hearing so that we can actually discuss the merits of all sides, as opposed to just the idea of whether we should go into public hearings to it?
I obviously think moving forward has merit. As much as I love putting PowerPoints together, it's not actually a hobby.
You love PowerPoint, don't lie.
Only if they're means to an end.
So I think we should move to a public hearing to discuss this. I think it's important. We might not, it's my opinion, we might not get all the I's dotted and T's crossed in time for a spring town meeting, but select board will also be able to see this. They'll be able to weigh in as well, as will all members of the public, as we'll get feedback from, I can't even think of who might be concerned. I could imagine the Council of Aging could say this is important or not. I could imagine many different parties could have an opinion on this. And I think having it in a posted public hearing would be very valuable to start. So I agree.
Great.
Yeah, I'd like to support Carrie on this effort as well.
So should we have our first public hearing next Tuesday or March 3rd?
Not time to post it, even if we wanted to.
Okay, so March 3rd it is.
Because also we're trying to hold our public hearing. This would be more regular business as opposed to, I think, we'll have to decide. This is more regular business as opposed to the one-off, but I don't know.
Yeah, if we can get this into our regular meeting, otherwise we're proliferating meetings when we maybe don't have to. I suppose if we run out of time, we can add a meeting, but I guess we have to see how full our meeting is going to be. But it is nice to contemplate one meeting a month. And when I told my wife I had this meeting, she said, this one meeting a month isn't really one meeting a month, but it's still nice. It's still nice to be able to call it that,
You tell her
yeah.
we're meeting again next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it
Oh.
would be one meeting a month if we weren't in the middle of a perma public hearing.
Yeah, it's kind of an important public hearing, so
You think?
So,
Yeah,
just for context, if we do this at our March 3rd meeting, hold the public hearing, we would be almost assuring that we don't have time to get it in for a Springtown meeting.
Correct.
But
Oh,
we
I
would have
see.
started the discussion.
We can't,
Oh, I guess
add
I'd
an
be
agenda
either
item.
way.
What's
Either way,
what,
then.
what's the time for, I mean, what's the lead into posting a public hearing? 14 days?
Yeah, you need 14 days, but you need 14 days from the newspaper posting. So I usually post at 21 days,
So
or
the
I usually
earliest,
send the
like,
posting in
humanly
21 days.
possible.
So I could put it in tomorrow and we could do it for the 3rd. I guess it's possible you could do a special meeting. You could do an additional meeting on the 26th.
Mhm.
That's if I post tomorrow.
I mean, I brought it up over the summer, so I think we're already kind of like running a bit on a weird, like we're on our own timeline. So as soon as I guess the March 3rd, I don't know. What do people think?
Well, we could do March 3rd, but then we can continue that to shorter intervals after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that would kick it off, but it would not preclude us from continuing it to March 5th. I mean, not that we want to meet twice a week, but you know what I mean.
And we can information gather until March 3rd. We don't have to not think about it on our own. So
Also, it could be
really prepared.
individually coming up with some things to bring forward, information gathering, but also trying to understand where and what we might change. You actually did a great job of showing us where and what we might change, but there might be other places where we had to change something too, and having that before the March 3rd would be useful.
Do we leave this with Carrie's capable hands, or does she want to hand it off?
So I think I got this far. I'm happy to keep a hand in it, but because our chair-elect would probably be presenting at Springtown meeting, I would
I'd be
obviously.
happy to participate in the effort with you.
You've been great getting prepped for this, so I think Jack and I already have a pretty good head start.
You could not an official subcommittee or a working group, just simply working on your own together.
Right.
It's just Nero doing Nero stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So
That's great.
That tab at Cafe Nero.
Sounds like there's a consensus that we should post a public hearing for this on March 3rd.
I would agree.
Right.
So let's do that. The agenda, other board and staff updates. Any other board updates from members of the board?
Yeah, I have a motion I'd like to make. I recommend that the planning board wish a happy first birthday to Naomi Herman.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
today?
That's
That is today.
I
Wow.
can't believe you're on this
Thank you.
meeting.
Let's finish up quickly then. I had no idea. I second the
She's already
motion.
asleep.
She's already asleep. All right, we'll tell her tomorrow.
Okay, well, it's also your first year as parents.
Yes.
Congratulations and happy birthday.
I'll send you all a
survived.
picture of her with her little cake.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Sorry you're here tonight, but thank you.
I didn't get a second on that.
I did. I
I'll
seconded it. I seconded it as chair, even though I'm not supposed to.
I'll second it. I'll
Are we
third.
gonna vote? Are we gonna
All in
take a-
favor?
Yes.
Aye.
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 So that's an important board update. One other board update that I wanted to bring, I sent around something about, maybe I didn't. I meant to send out that there is an upcoming TMMA newsletter. If we have any,
Yes.
I think having just discussed that we're going to have a public hearing on March 3rd, I think that would be a great topic for
Yeah,
maybe
Jack
somebody-
put short-term rentals in the T, so it'll be a good follow-up, right? Didn't you put a perfectly?
I did put that in
concise
a
100
previous
word
one,
blurb?
so I will update that.
that with the date of the public hearing.
Yeah.
Taylor, is there any reason that we wouldn't be able to hold it on March 3rd, or can he actually put that the date is on March 3rd?
The public hearing?
Yeah.
No, well, that's fine.
Okay.
We'll make it the 3rd.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you. That's hadn't occurred to me. I'll take care of that.
Thank you. Any other board updates?
I think we will, without deliberating, John and I could comment that the working group on the fifth story solution has been productive and it's moving forward. And we'll hope to have, I hope to have a recommendation on Tuesday, but we'll see how fast we can move.
Good.
Oh, that's fantastic, Terry. That's good to hear.
Thank you for doing that work. It is very much appreciated, and I look forward to hearing what comes out of that.
As do I.
Thank you. Other board updates? No. Taylor, do you have any staff updates?
Yeah, the only one that I have is that we received 4 proposals for the site plan RFP, which has ended. Brian and I will review those proposals. Actually, Brian, I don't know if we discussed this. I mean, I don't know if you want to. I don't know if we share them or not, but we'll be reviewing those proposals and hopefully coming to the board, I guess, on the 3rd. Well, maybe that's too late. I don't know.
I think we should add it.
Brian and I have some work to do.
I think we should, if we can get it possibly done, update our meeting and have it just be for next week, because I think it would be too late to wait till the 3rd to actually move forward.
Yeah, we're super time crunched here because the project needs to conclude before the end of the fiscal year. So where every day that we don't select a proposal, we're kind of digging ourselves a deeper hole. So, but I would say that we have 4 proposals of various qualifications. However, I think they're all reasonable options.
That's good. Embarrassment of riches.
Taylor, let's meet this week.
Has our reputation changed?
Let's meet this week, Taylor, and we'll hammer out a time to meet and come with a recommendation.
Would it be appropriate for me to look over your shoulders for that?
I don't know.
That's up to you, Brian. I mean, I don't care.
Inappropriate. I would think it would be helpful as long as it's not inappropriate.
It's not inappropriate in my mind.
Okay, perfect. Then let's go. I think that would be helpful because you'll probably be dealing with at some point whoever we hire, as will I. So we'll be handing off. So it'll be helpful to have your. So yes, let's do that.
Okay.
And the other thing that's tied in with that, that John and I have been hammering around for a while, and actually I've been hammering around for a long time, is looking at changes for pre-existing non-conforming section 3.5. And we never did really move anything forward on that, but there's about 4 things that need to be reviewed and potentially edited in it. It's my thinking that this would be a good thing to do in the fall, when we're at the same time as we're bringing forward potential changes to special permit and site plan review. We could also have a potential bylaw change, not done by outside, but just reviewed and done with internally, with looking at section 3.5. So I feel like I've been sitting on this for a long time. And every time John and I meet, we're always like, oh, we need to fix that. Because there's at least one substantial issue. So I just throwing that out there, that I think that that's something that probably once everything is nailed down for Springtown meeting, we should probably start looking into for Fall Town meeting. So, but that's just my opinion. And I'll leave it up to the chair if that's what a direction they want us to be going. I like saying that. That'll be great. Can't wait. Any other step?
Turn off his camera and pour himself a glass of wine.
Yeah, I was about to go do that right now.
Any other updates? Anything else that we want to discuss? We have minutes to approve.
Yes.
We have 2 sets of minutes from January 6th and January 13th. I think everyone had a chance to review them. There was a general cry for help from me from something I didn't understand. Jack then fixed that. I think Carrie made some edits as well that I thought were all excellent. So I know that the 3 of us reviewed it. John and Nick, I assume you guys did as well. If there are no additional edits or concerns, I'd love a motion to approve both sets as amended.
So moved.
Seconded.
We still need a roll call vote, so I'll start with you, Carrie.
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous, 5-0. So we don't have specifically here, but our next meeting will be a continuation of our public hearing on 10 Converse Place. That'll take place next Tuesday night in the planning board room. And if there's nothing else that anybody needs to bring up, I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved from Carrie. Was there a second or
Second.
second from John? A roll call vote. Nick,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Carrie.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Votes unanimous. Thank you all. Thank you, WinCam, and thank you, Jack, for stepping up in a month and a half.
And thank you, Brian, for your leadership for this year.
I would
Yes,
second
thank
that.
you, Brian.
Chair-elect at your side.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll
Happy
see you all
birthday,
next
Naomi.
week. Yes, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yep.
Good night, all.
Have a good night.
Good night.